the feeling.
For Total Home Pest Control, who are you going to call?
Call the Bug Man, 923-BUGS.
For Total Pest Control for your home or business, call the original Salvant.
Call the Bug Man today, 923-BUGS.
Exiles from what you ask? Exiled from the radio. But now, we're on your television.
I'm Bill Profita, he's Kevin Gallagher, and they kicked us to the curb.
But we're back.
We are back with Exiles Television on the Pelican Broadcasting Network. We're going to bring you the newsmakers. We're also going to take your calls and give you great information. It's going to be the best damn radio show on television.
Look for it on your cable system or download the app, PelicanSportsTV.com.
It says here that Eric Gaylord is back. Where has he been?
Well, I heard he was in the great Northwest hunting for Sasquatch.
Stop.
Really? Yeah.
I've been looking for years. Maybe Sasquatch doesn't exist.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hello and welcome to the Hump Day Midweek Wednesday edition of the Clarence Bug Show. So very glad that you decided to allow us into your homes, your businesses, those of you back at work, phase 2 of the reopening at your desks, courtesy of either PelicanSportsTV.com or the Pelican Broadcasting app. We start today's show with a guy that I consider a friend. He is a long-term law enforcement officer and is now spearheading the Crime Stoppers program in the greater Baton Rouge region, one of the historically most successful Crime Stoppers programs in all of the United States, if not the world, Lieutenant Jonny Dunnam. LT, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, Clarence. I appreciate you having me on today.
So for folks that don't know, who is Jonny Dunnam?
Well, I guess Jonny Dunnam is, a native Baton Rougean, born and raised in Baton Rouge.
Mm-hmm. What high school did you go to?
Went to Terre High School,
we used
graduated
to
in
beat up on you
1986.
guys all the time. Turn Oaks, go Panthers.
Yeah, Terre. Just been in Baton Rouge my whole life. I guess I joined the Baton Rouge Police Department back in 1989 as a police cadet, working for Crime Stoppers at the time, answering the phones at night before I became a full-time officer. Went through the police academy.
Right.
And did 30-something years. Did my time in uniform. Went to the Criminal Investigations Division.
Right.
Worked there for about 7 years, and then went to Internal Affairs. And spent about 14 years in IAD, which was a long time.
Yeah.
Took over, then left and took over our Public Information Office for the police department. Did that from about 2014 to about 2017. And then the mayor graciously asked me to take the interim chief's position. So I did the interim chief's role for about 7 months while she searched for the new chief.
Right.
She found Murphy Paul, who's been a good chief. When Murphy took over as the chief, he made me the deputy chief and chief of staff of the Baton Rouge Police Department. So the number 2 guy on the police department for the last 3 years of my career.
Has anybody in the history of BRPD held as many positions
I
as
haven't thought
Jonny
about
Dunnam
that.
has?
I have not thought about that. I went through the ranks. I've made every position from cadet on up to chief and deputy chief. So I really don't know. I don't know if anybody's ever been a chief and a deputy chief. That's interesting. I haven't thought about that.
You might want to go through the records.
I guess it's possible that I've held every single position
pretty much
that you can get on the police department.
Yeah.
So
You know, it's no secret there's a lot of consternation going on these days regarding the relationship between law enforcement and the community it serves. As best you can tell, talking with the rank and file, how's the morale of law enforcement officers these days?
It's a difficult time for law enforcement officers. Officers are going to get up, they're going to do their jobs. Their main goal is to help people. Every officer who pretty much goes through and does their oral interview, that's one of the things you kind of look for, that their main priority is that they want to help the community.
Right.
And so I think officers stay focused. They try not to let the extracurricular things, the things that go on in social media and the media affect them daily. I'm sure it does. There are issues on the Baton Rouge Police Department. The main issue I think right now is police pay.
Yep.
That affects morale a lot. Over the years, our department's fallen so far behind other local departments as well as regional departments in pay that I think that probably affects morale more so, because everyday officers, and I talked to some officers the other day who the community members around the community have gone up to them and thanked them for what they do. Usually when you have a concentration of the media on the negative aspects of policing, you usually have the larger portion of the public that comes out and vocally supports the police to their face. They'll go up to them when they're eating lunch, or if they just see them and tell them that they do appreciate them. And they get a lot of that, and I think that helps their morale as well. So it's give and take, and I'm sure it's with any profession, but I think that the morale obviously could be a little better on the police department, but I think pay and other things have a lot to do with that at the moment.
Yeah, opening that pay stub and seeing a substantial increase has a way of, well, I think I can take this for just a little bit longer. Has all this consternation in recent memory concerning law enforcement, has that led to Crime Stoppers getting fewer calls than they normally would?
No, actually, we've gotten a large number of calls. The public's obviously still concerned with crime, and to the public's benefit, they have come forward and recently solved several cases that were in the media spotlight. We had the hit and run of our motor officer that was on Scenic. It was a Crime Stoppers tip that helped lead to the arrest of the individuals involved in that. We had a homicide on St. Catherine Street recently that a Crime Stoppers tip helped on. We've received some recent Crime Stoppers tips on the homicide of the lady that was burned off Spanish Town. So, the public's still calling, and that's the main thing, and that's why Crime Stoppers is there. It's there to help kind of bridge that gap between the public and police, to help give them an outlet, a resource to use when they may not feel comfortable talking to the police, or they may feel threatened in some way by going to the police publicly, so they can call 344 stop.
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 Yeah, it's become a part of our DNA in Baton Rouge. It's been around, so everybody knows 344 STOP. We hear a lot, Johnny, these days about community policing, quote unquote. But at the end of the day, Crime Stoppers is one of the best ways for a community to police itself while helping law enforcement.
That's right. And receiving a cash reward
and
on
making
top
money.
of it, and making money on top of that.
Yeah.
It is. Crime Stoppers started in 1982. Sid Newman helped start Crime Stoppers at the time when he was on the police department. I think Pat Bonanno was the chief. Asked Sid to look into this new program that was sprouting up across the country.
Wow.
And he did, and Sid worked and built the Crime Stoppers program from 1982 until he retired from the police department, and then took over as the executive director for another 20 years as the executive director of Crime Stoppers.
Right.
So it has really grown. It's been around for 38 years now, and it has been beneficial to the community as well as to the police departments in helping them solve crimes. And we're going to keep pushing forward and continue to grow this Crime Stoppers. And it's Greater Baton Rouge Crime Stoppers. And the majority of the calls we receive are related to crime in Baton Rouge, but we also cover an 8-parish area.
8-parish, yeah.
Yes, and Livingston, Ascension, Iberville, the Felicianas, West Baton Rouge, all these different parishes that touch the greater Baton Rouge area.
And I've got to imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, if an individual happens to be in that 8 parish area, but has knowledge of a crime that took place outside of that area, they can contact Crime Stoppers, and you will forward that
That's
information.
right. Crime Stoppers is actually housed in the violent crime unit at the state police.
Ah.
So that way we have access to all of the regional law enforcement entities around Baton Rouge, not just Baton Rouge Police Department, not just EBR Sheriff's Office, but the state police. The state police has a great task force, a fugitive task force that has been extremely helpful to Crime Stoppers and police departments all across this area, because anytime there's an individual that's outside of the jurisdiction and that state police fugitive task force goes out and picks that individual up. I know they just recently, in fact, I just got told recently that they had picked up the individual from the incident at the Walmart that fought with the deputy.
Walmart.
Yeah, the Cortana Walmart that fought with the deputy. I think that they were instrumental in getting him arrested.
Awesome.
And I want to say he was somewhere in Indiana.
Wow.
So
Last story I saw said that it was believed he was in the Lafayette area. They didn't say Lafayette, Indiana.
Well, yeah, it could have been Lafayette, Indiana that they meant. So,
what about funding for Crime Stoppers? Has the COVID-19 pandemic put a damper
COVID
on
hurts.
it?
We do receive some funding from Act 50, which is related to tickets and other summonses that are issued across the different parishes. The courts have been closed, so we haven't received any of that funding, and that funding's strictly tied to payment of rewards. So, we have seen a dip in that during the COVID. So, we were a 501c3 also. So, donations is how we mainly stay afloat with Crime Stoppers, and we've paid out over $2 million in rewards in the last 38 years.
Wow.
So, I've been part of over 13,000 felony arrests, recovered millions and millions of dollars in property and illegal narcotics. So it's been a very successful program, and I hope that I can continue to grow the program.
You will. I have no doubt. Person watching right now, Johnny, is saying, well, my business is back open. I'm doing a little better than I thought I was. The person viewing saying, well, I'm back at work now. Thank God my income is more regular. I'd like to get back into helping Crime Stoppers, or I'd like to start helping. How do they go about doing that, John?
There's several different ways. Obviously, you can mail a check to Baton Rouge Crime Stoppers at 9000 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, Louisiana 70815. We did have it on the website, which is crimestoppersbr.com, but right now that's down to be able to donate online. I'm trying to get that back up.
Okay.
But right now, basically, the best way is cut a check and send it to Baton Rouge Crime Stoppers, 9000 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, Louisiana 70815.
One of the things that is, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, a crowning jewel that Sid and LT Don Stone worked very closely with him and Heidi in getting this all started was the big annual banquet.
Yes.
Are you going to be able to do that this year?
We've had to push the banquet back. Right now, it looks like we're shooting for October 1st.
Okay.
That hopefully some of the phases right now will start to get into phase 3, phase 4, wherever the phase needs to be for us to be able to have law enforcement and community in that banquet. We're looking to probably seat about 500 people, and right now we can only seat about 250. So we're hoping for October 1st. That looks like our date.
Is there any crime too small for Crime Stoppers to take a call on?
No, we'll take a call on anything. Now, we do only pay on felony crimes. You can obviously call about any misdemeanor. You may not receive a reward. We recently had a criminal damage to property that we put out there where a guy busted out a bunch of windows and slashed tires on a car. the amount may not have led to a felony, but we will pay, and we pay rewards anywhere from $50 on up to $5,000 for homicides.
Wow.
And, multiple homicides.
I'm going to correct a little something as an addendum. You said that, certain crimes you will call in and you won't get paid for that. I beg to differ just a little bit. You do get paid. You certainly get something in return.
You get something in return.
You help get criminals off your streets.
That's right.
You help improve the quality of life in your community.
Yep.
And you make it such that you and your family and loved ones can sleep a little more sound each and every night when you lay your head down on that pillow. What can the community do to help your organization be better at what you do?
Obviously donations help, but just calling. The main thing is to continue to call Crime Stoppers anytime you see wanted fugitives on TV or hear them on the radio or see them in the Advocate. Calling about those fugitives. I think we're at a 98-99% rate of for arrests on fugitives that we air and we put in the paper. So just calling about any crimes, any potential drug dealing, anything you think that's going on that's affecting your neighborhood. Call Crime Stoppers at 344-7867 or 344-STOP. There's always somebody there. When somebody's not there, we have a call service that answers, and they get those tips to us and send them out. With phones and technology, we're able to immediately receive that tip and send it directly to whatever law enforcement agency needs to work it. So,
well, I am proud to say that this summer will be 40th year in broadcasting. I've always enjoyed a great relationship with BRPD, the EBRSO, Louisiana State Police, Sid Newman, Don Stone, I can consider as personal friends. You and our paths have crossed over the broadcast years with you in public relations and so on and so forth. I am holding you to the fact that I expect this great relationship to continue, Johnny.
I definitely appreciate everything you've done for Crime Stoppers, for the community, Clarence. You've been around in broadcasting for so many years and have been.
You're kind to say it that way.
You have that experience, and as well as me, I've been in law enforcement for 32 years and now with Crime Stoppers, so. Experience matters, and all the good work that you've done. So we definitely want to be a part of anything you have moving forward.
In the future, we'll call it seasoning as opposed to experience.
All right, seasoning.
Lieutenant Jonny Dunnam, now spearheading Crime Stoppers in the greater Baton Rouge area, 344-STOP. It is a part of our DNA here in Baton Rouge, and more so than anything, it helps improve the quality of life for all of us. First break of hour one, we will come back and talk more right where you've got it on the Wednesday edition of the Clarence Bugg Show here on the Pelican. Stay close.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-778-4345. 800-778-4345.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
Hi, gang. Clarence Bugs here. Cox Cable is upgrading the signal from the Pelican, but to catch us, you're going to have to tune in now to a new number. Acadiana, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Gramercy, Lutcher. Check your guide for details.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing.
You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Assuming middle camera. Thank you kindly, sir. I just thought I'd ask before we got too deep into this segment. Floor producer extraordinaire and cameraman extraordinaire Marty Campbell told me last week, Clarence, it doesn't matter what camera you look at. What matters is which camera we are using. Just because you look at this camera doesn't mean Alan's going to switch to that camera. So that way, if you let me know which camera we're coming back on, everything will be fine. I want to talk with you today about all the racial upheaval in our country and how if you don't educate yourself, notice there is a difference between allowing someone to educate you versus educating yourself. If you don't do that, then you will very easily be led astray, filled with misinformation, and quite frankly, coming to wrong conclusions about a lot of things that really matter and are pertinent to today's discussions. Ran across an article recently, yesterday as a matter of fact, from the Washington Post. They took the time to comprehensively collect data regarding unarmed suspects killed by police and police killed by criminals in the act of conducting a felony. The numbers, at least since 2015, and data is somewhat sketchy prior to that, but the rates are similar since at least 2015. Let me share with you some of the Washington Post's comprehensive survey. In the first half of this year, 2020, for instance, 27 police officers have been what's called feloniously killed. Keep in mind that means officers killed while someone was committing a felony. 27 police officers killed in the line of duty, feloniously killed, in the first half of 2020. 24 unarmed suspects have been killed by police during the same period. Of those unarmed suspects, of the 24 unarmed, 10 were white, 7 were black, 3 Hispanic, and 4 of either another race or their race was, quote, unknown. The last year with complete data is 2019. 48 police officers were feloniously killed in the line of duty compared to 55 unarmed suspects killed by police. In 2019, 25 of the 55 unarmed suspects killed by police were white. 14 were black, and 5 were Hispanic. The last year in which total deaths between police officers and unarmed suspects had a notable difference was 2017, when 46 police officers were feloniously killed compared to 70 unarmed suspects killed by police. Since 2015, however, the number of unarmed suspects killed by police has dropped by nearly 41.5%, while the number of police officers feloniously killed in the line of duty has increased more than 17%. Be careful who you listen to these days in our so animated and emotional conversations regarding race and law enforcement. At the end of the day, there's not a single law enforcement officer out there that relishes the thought of being killed while protecting and serving. Let me say for the record, and I think if you have listened to me on radio, television, wherever, for any amount of time over the last 4 decades, you know full well that I am of the opinion any person's death is tragic. But at the end of the day, I tend to have priorities. When I look at the number of young black men that die at the hands of police, there's really no other way to say it. I am a lot more concerned, troubled by, and aware of the disproportionate number of murders of young black men at the hands of other young black men. 2015, 7,014 homicides in the African American community, 93% of which were committed by another person of color. 2005, 8,200 African Americans, the victims of homicide. At the end of the day, no one wants to forfeit their life in any manner, whether it's at the hands of the police, whether it is a homicide from someone that looks like them, whether it's an accidental death, whatever. None of us want to forfeit our lives in that way. But the numbers are what the numbers are. And quite frankly, the media, in steering us where we are at this point in time, is obviously making a concerted effort to keep you in the dark. When we spend the amount of emotional, what's the word I'm looking for? Capital, for lack of a better word. When we spend the amount of emotional capital that we've spent in recent memory in demonizing law enforcement, and again, even one death is too many. But when we continually ignore the thousands and thousands of homicide deaths in the African American community committed by other African Americans, we are doing ourselves, the process, and this country a serious disservice. At the end of the day, and y'all can get mad if you want, I'm a big boy, I'm grown now, I don't care. All lives matter. Every single life of every American citizen matters. Pure and simple. And I'll be honest with you, when I look at 14 African Americans unarmed, killed by law enforcement in a year, but at the same time 7,000 black men killed by other black men, it makes me, and it does other people as well. Now, some of them ain't comfortable around you enough to say it, but I'll say it. I get thick skin from sitting in this chair. Apparently, black lives only matter when it's a white person that kills the brother. The amount of energy and effort being expended in this manner, gotta watch it, because I love my job. Don't want to say what I'm truly feeling. It's disgusting. It is disgusting. Where are the marches, the rallies, the protests for the thousands, tens of thousands of African Americans that have been killed over the years in this country by people that look like they do? Again, the police could always do a better job. If there's one death, that's one too many. But on one hand, when I weigh 14 individuals unarmed, killed by law enforcement, versus 7,000. 14, 7,000. 14, one hand, 7,000 on the other. We're rioting, we're looting, we're burning, we're assaulting. 14, but not a peep about the 7,000. Our priorities, y'all, are screwed up. Our priorities are so out of whack, if it were not so tragic, it would be comical. And our quote-unquote leaders don't have the guts, the backbone to stand up and call things what they are. At the end of the day, the truth is what the truth is. Not your emotions, not your feelings. The truth is what the truth is. Pure and simple. And the sooner we decide we're going to call it what it is, deal with it for what it is, the better off we're going to be as a people, a society, and a country. End of discussion. Well, end of discussion on that point. I got the bottom of the hour break that I need to get done. What do you make of all this? Louisiana boy talking with Louisiana folks about Louisiana stuff. 831. Oh, I'm sorry. I always do that. Area code 225-831-1029. Call me up. Let's talk. Bottom of the hour break, and we're back with more of Hour 1 of the Hump Day edition of the Clarence Bugg Show, right here where you've got it, on the Pelican. Stay close.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Hello, guys. guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
For Total Home Pest Control, who are you going to call?
Call the Bug Man, 923-BUGS.
For total pest control for your home or business, call the original Salvat.
Call the Bug Man today, 923-BUGS.
They said I could find you here. Why are you fishing? Our company's got to ship out 2 full color brochures and 20 color copies. You're killing me.
It's done. Designed, printed, packaged, and shipped.
How?
You just got to know the right people. Baker Printing, the printing people.
How come you get to fish in this private lake?
Like I said, you just got to know the right people. You can know the right people too.
Welcome back to Hour 1 of our Wednesday edition of the Clarence Bug Show. 225-831-1029 will get you aboard. It is such a sad commentary that in the year 2020, apparently, we are no closer to solving some of the race problems that have plagued Louisiana, America, for that matter. After all we've been through, it's disheartening on one hand, but for those of us who love this country, love the freedom, the liberties, the opportunities, and understand that like any other venture that involves human beings, we are fallible, we have our flaws, and we have our shortcomings. But taken in totality, what we have in America is the envy of the world, and there's a reason why that is. James has patiently been holding on line 1. James, good morning, and how are you, my friend?
I'm doing fine, Clarence. How are you doing?
I am doing well. Thank you for asking. What's on your mind, James?
I just wanted to commend you on what you just said on TV a few minutes ago. I wish there was some way I could put it over nationwide.
Well, bless your heart.
So everybody could hear
Bless your
that,
heart.
because that was a very strong statement, and he done it very, very well.
Why is it that more people don't say things that need to be said, James?
I don't understand myself, Clarence. It was just this racial thing that was going on back when I was a child.
Right.
Still going on, and it's not, it's not so much the people. It's people out there just have nothing else to do.
Mm-hmm.
Just destroying stuff and hurting people for no reason.
How much of this do you put on the media and the politicians trying to keep us separate and apart?
I put 100% on the politicians and media.
Wow.
Because they're the ones that keep it stirred up.
Yeah.
And they keep it going. And it could have been settled down and quieted down, and then they had the other one, Atlanta, started now.
Right.
And like you said about people killing each other, they've been doing that for years.
Oh, yeah. Tens of thousands. Yeah. And you don't hear a peep about it. Do we still, James, still possess the ability to get past this?
We should be able to. If we could get people to quiet down and not listen to the politicians so much.
Mm-hmm.
And the media, the social media.
Good luck with that, James. James, great to hear your voice. Thank you, my friend. Good luck with that, James. Good luck with that. And I have learned, after being blessed by God to stick around for X number of years, there are some people, James, who are comfortable with their misery. Some people James, one of two things. One, don't possess the wherewithal, the gumption, as the old folk used to call it, to get up off their butts, get involved in things to make things better. But other people, James, wouldn't know what to do with themselves if they didn't have something to complain about. I forget the first person I heard say it, because I'd like to give them credit, because I have adopted this saying since hearing it the very first time. Some people would rather have a grievance than a job. I'll let that sink in. Some people would rather have a grievance than a job. To have a grievance, all you got to do is this: point your finger at somebody else. They're the problem, they're the problem, that's the problem. To have a grievance, all you have to do is point your finger. To have a job, you got to get off your you-know-what and go to work. Which I guess is why some people would rather have a grievance than a job. Marty? Mark's got a finger? I'm glad he used it to punch up on the dial. Mark, hello, my friend. How are you this morning?
How you doing, sir?
It is still a great day to be an American, Mark.
Well, I got a good question for you, Clarence. Maybe you can help with it.
I'll try.
We keep talking the last several days on a national and local level about changing the culture in the police department or law enforcement in general.
Mm-hmm.
The bottom line is this: when am I going to see protests and people marching in the black communities to stop the black-on-black crime and to stop the numerous ladies having babies by numerous different men and no father present to give them guidance? When are we going to do something about changing that culture?
Mark, thank you for the call and the question, my friend. To answer that question, Mark, ooh, y'all gonna get mad, but that's all right. That's why you watch. To answer that question, Mark, as soon as black folks stop voting Democrat. Understand something here, y'all. Conservative philosophy dictates that the individual is responsible for the individual. Meaning, you as a person are charged with making sure your children grow up educated. You as an individual are charged, are responsible for making sure your child, when they reach a certain period in life, understand and have an appreciation for law enforcement, the rule of law, and the fact that we are a nation of laws. You as an individual are responsible for teaching your child that God in his infinite wisdom, and even if you're not a member of the community of faith, let's say you're the biggest atheist on the planet, at the end of the day, our society is such that you are much better served as a young person to wait until marriage to have children. That is simply an economic fact. Not to mention the example that it sets for your kids and the betterment of society at large. We disagree on a lot of things in this country. One of them that is beyond dispute. You cannot argue it. If you do, well, it is America. You got a right to be a moron. A young man reaches a certain age, and as the old folk used to be fond of saying, he starts smelling himself. You need a father figure in that home to yank that chain. Because if you don't, that child, and it's human nature, this ain't got nothing to do with color, y'all, it's human nature. That young man will run roughshod over that household. At a certain point in life, there is only so much that a single mom, God bless her, doing the best she can, there's only so much she can do with that young man. Now, After a while, in that household, that young man running roughshod over everybody is going to soon become of the opinion the way things work in that household is the way things gotta work in society. Wrong answer. We have people and institutions designed specifically for you who feel I can run roughshod over the rest of society like I do in my single parent household. To answer your question, Mark, you probably are not going to see the marches, the protests, in the black community about all the thousands every year of young black men that are killed by other black men. Most notably because there's a segment in this country that wants to keep black folk in that same old barrel. They want to keep us uneducated, incarcerated, single-parent households, aborting our babies, killing the future. They want that. And ironically, they're the ones that tell you, you need to vote for me because I'll take care of you. One of the lasting legacies, Mark, my opinion only, of slavery in this country is that a segment of our society, and I'm talking about folks that look like me, we have had ingrained in us, Mark, we're not capable. We're not capable of educating our children. We're not capable of raising kids that will abide by the law. We're not capable of doing all the other things in a free society that every other ethnicity has been able to do. So as a result, you need to vote for me because I can do these things for you. Poppycock. When's the last time you heard a black guy say poppycock? That's why you watch the Clarence Bug Show. You never know what you're going to get. I'm going to talk about this a little more, Mark, but I've got the final break of hour one coming up. I coined the phrase, what you see right now, all this social upheaval, all this social unrest, defund the police, this, that, and the other. I've coined the phrase, Mark, what you are witnessing is us putting a Band-Aid on a pimple on the ass of an elephant and calling it surgery. Well, this will fix all the problem. No, it won't. Elephant got a pretty wide behind, Hoss. You just put one Band-Aid on one pimple. And you got the nerve to tell me you're performing surgery? Really? We're going to talk some more, y'all, but I got to get my last break of this hour out of the way. We'll do so and talk more right where you've got it on the Wednesday edition of the Clarence Bug Show here on the Pelican. Stay close.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Exiles from what, you ask? Exiled from the radio, but now we're on your television.
I'm Bill Profita, he's Kevin Gallagher, and they kicked us to the curb.
But we're back.
We are back with Exiles Television on the Pelican Broadcasting Network. We're going to bring you the newsmakers. We're also going to take your calls and give you great information. It's going to be the best damn radio show on television.
Look for it on your cable system or download the app, PelicanSportsTV.com.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Welcome back to the Wednesday edition of the Clarence Bug Show. Don't forget, guys and girls, July 15th, right, Marty? Yeah. The big changeover. Cox Cable, if you have Cox Cable, the numbers assigned to the Pelican are going to change. Gramercy, Lutcher, Acadiana, New Orleans area, Baton Rouge. So be sure to check your guide so that you will be well aware of the new numbers to find us on. Now, there is a benefit that comes along with this little inconvenience of having to, find a different number to watch the shows on the Pelican. The benefit is that we're going to be HD all the way. So hopefully you will be well aware come July 15th and you will govern yourselves accordingly. Marty and I were sitting here talking in the last commercial break, and one of the things that is so very perplexing to me is that in this information age, with all the advances in technology, with all the quantum leaps in so many areas where we are intellectually much better off than at any other part in the history of humankind. With all these advances in technology, with all this information readily available, we are dumber than we've ever been in our lives. Some of us have gone from dumb to downright stupid. And one of the things that I love about this country, it's kind of like freedom and liberty. It is a blessing and a curse at the same time. One of the things that I love about this country is that in America, you got a right to be a moron. Not only do you have the right to be a moron, you can run for and be elected to Congress. Senator Tim Kaine, Democrat from Virginia, speaking on the floor of the United States House of Representatives, and I don't know what's worse, the fact that he said it or someone needed to fact check it, said that the United States did not inherit slavery, but instead created it. You heard me right. Now, any person that did not sleep every day in world history class knows full well slavery was in existence for thousands of years prior to the creation of the United States of America. Probably every race of people at some point in this world's history has been involved in slavery. This guy's a congressman and says, quote, "We need to do much more within the criminal justice system, but also within all of our systems to dismantle the structures of racism that our federal, state, and local governments carefully erected and maintained over centuries." He went on to say that African Americans landed in colonies that did not have slavery. Quote, "There were no laws about slavery in colonies at that time. The United States didn't inherit slavery from anybody. We created it. It got created by the Virginia General Assembly and the legislature of other states. It got created by the court systems in colonial America. We created it and maintained it over centuries. So let me get this right. The pyramids, one of the 7 wonders of the world, were built, since I paid attention in history class, using a lot of slave labor. So are you telling me the history books got it wrong, Mr. Congressperson? And those were contract employees? Essential personnel. Thank you, Marty. Essential personnel. Listen, y'all. Slavery was a blot on the soul of American history. That is a fact. There is no disputing that. Now, when you come to terms with that fact, there are 2 ways you can go with your thought process immediately thereafter. You can either make the conscious decision to wallow in the mire, or you can say, as I do, yeah, that was a dark time in my country's history, the country I loved, but look how far we've come. Look what we've done since then. And if you really want something to give you hope, compare what we've done to other countries. Yes, we had slavery in this country, but you know what? Since then, I can now vote. Why? Because close to 500,000 people gave their lives in a war to change things. Not only can I vote, I can go to whatever school I want to go to. Doesn't matter. I can work anywhere I want to work. If I'm willing to make the sacrifice, I can do whatever I want. We've had African American governors, mayors, chiefs of police, presidents of universities, just go on, a president of the freaking United States of America. But all we want to focus on is the indignity of slavery. At some point, y'all, you have to recognize things for what they are. Yes, it was terrible. People that share my skin color had a tough road to hoe. But oh, thank you, God, look at where we are right now. Now, that's not to say we should stop trying to get better. Any society, in any form or fashion, always wants to get better, because lest we forget, the long-term goal here is to leave a world for our kids that was better than the one we had. I will say again, take your little happy behind over to the Congo for 2 months. Take your little happy butt over there to Iran for 2 months. Go live in Libya for 2 months. Go to Haiti for 2 months. Go to Russia for 2 months. And old Lady Liberty will start to look pretty damn good. Won't take 2 months. Trust me on that one, Hoss. Won't take that long. Just saying. I need to get my top of the hour break out of the way. Where we go from here, fortunately, is up to America. The only question is, we will continue to allow others to lead us astray. Top of the hour break on the Clarence Bugg Show. Stay close.
Hello, guys. It's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Hi gang, Clarence Bugs here. Some big changes are coming to the Pelican and Cox Cable. July 15th, our numbers are changing. We're easier to find and we're in high def. New Orleans, Gramercy, Lutcher, Acadiana, Patterson, Baton Rouge, new numbers coming and a brand new signal. It all happens July 15th on Cox Cable. Do your buddy Clarence a favor, will you? Get all the details by checking your local guide.
For total home pest control, who are you going to call?
Call the Bug Man, 923-BUGS.
For total pest control for your home or business, call the original Salvat.
Call the Bug Man today, 923-BUGS.
Welcome back as we start hour 2 of our Wednesday edition of the Clarence Bug Show. We start this hour, and we're going to continue our conversation later on. But at this point, for this segment, we'd like to bring in a friend of the show, and for that matter, he's a friend of all of Louisiana. He is a former media guy like yours truly, and you probably know the name, and you'll see the face in just a moment. He is now heading up an organization that has the perfect name for what they do. Barry Erwin is the president for the Council for a Better Louisiana, very affectionately known by the acronym CABL. CABL, Council for a Better Louisiana, and joins us to start hour 2. Barry, how are you today, my friend?
I'm doing great, Clarence. How about you? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing well. You're more than welcome, my friend. Let's start, Barry, with the legislature's performance as far as education legislation for this COVID-19 scenario that we're in. How have you viewed the work at the Capitol thus far?
Well, you know, in many ways, it's been sort of minimal. We started out with the regular session with some hopes that we were going to have some additional revenues to put into early education in particular, but also higher ed and our community and technical colleges. That was all kind of new money and actually even more money for the MFP as well. So we started with those hopes, and COVID-19 just dashed all of those with the closure, obviously, of the schools and then the shutdown of the economy.
Right.
So really what we've seen since is trying to just put whatever pieces back together that we could. So most of the legislation has been more around, you know, protocols and kind of putting in law things to, you know, deal with the crisis. So unfortunately, in some ways, it was kind of a setback for what we were hoping for, but hopefully, you know, again, we'll get back on track.
Obviously, all of this stuff, Barry, is unprecedented. We've never gone through anything like this. Now, that being said, how does CABL view the job the legislature has done so far in addressing the needs of the business community as we go through the various steps of reopening and resuming normalcy?
Well, I think they've done pretty good. I think in a lot of ways, honestly, the biggest role for doing that is with the federal government because they have more resources. They certainly can run deficits, which we cannot do, and that type of thing. I do think you're seeing legislation. Well, you saw some during the regular that didn't make it all the way through. You're seeing some that's kind of still creeping through the process now that I think attempts to do some things. I think the tools that we have at the state level are not as broad as they are at the federal level.
Right.
But I think the biggest piece is that there's about $300 million, and the governor signed that bill into law just the other day, that is going to go down to small business, and I think could impact individuals too. So it's not the same kind of response as you see at the federal level, but I do think it's good faith.
If I could step back to education for just a moment, we now have a new state superintendent of education in Cade Brumley. What would you like to see Cade focus on early on, Barry?
Well, I think the immediate thing is going to have to be the COVID situation, and not just, obviously, when to reopen schools, how to reopen schools, making sure kids are safe and teachers and everybody around are protected. So that's kind of a given. But I think there are a lot of other ripple effects to that too. I mean, we paused or canceled some of our school accountability measures, the testing, those types of things. Those are things that we want to see resumed. We know because our kids lost about 9 weeks of at least instructional learning during the closure, and then right on top of that was the summer break. A lot of our kids are going to be farther behind when they show up than they would have been otherwise.
Right.
And so we need him and leadership to make sure that our schools are assessing those kids as soon as they show up to see where they stand, how much more additional help they might need, and what measures might need to be taken to make sure they don't lose a portion of their learning because of this terrible virus.
Right. You mentioned early childhood education. I think we all have gained a much greater appreciation in recent memory for just how important that is. Now, that being said, again, it is something that we have resisted for whatever reason, fully funding here in the state of Louisiana in recent memory. How are you feeling about the prospects for us being able to fund it adequately in the near future, knowing full well that we've got COVID-19 to deal with, we've got the economic shutdown that has hindered the collection of resources in that regard? How are you feeling about the potential future of finally fully funding early childhood education in our state, Barry?
Honestly, it's kind of mixed. I mean, I think one thing that this has shown us is how important the early education piece, the child care piece is, not just to our kids and their families, but to the economy.
Right.
I mean, we can't have people going back to work if there's not a place for their young children to be able to go that's safe and a good environment for them. So that's stood out more than whatever, and I think that helps actually for the longer term. In the immediate term, there's some federal dollars from the CARES Act that's going to help stand up some of these child care centers that closed, and that's about 70% of them. But next year that money goes away, and our budget situation is likely going to be worse. So I don't know. I'm holding my breath on that one.
All right. Your organization, on a different note, recently lost two of its former chairmen, Dr. Ray Othman and Dr. James Peltier. What did their leadership mean to CABL, Barry?
It meant a lot. Both of them kind of came from different backgrounds. Dr. Othman was president for 30-something years of the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. He was an educator, higher ed, passionate about that. And that certainly informed a lot of the work that we did. Dr. Peltier was different. He was from Thibodeau. He was a dentist or oral surgeon, so he was not, he was not in the education world like that.
Right.
But the legacy he left our organization is that he helped create our Leadership Louisiana program, which has been around for more than 30 years now. And because of that, we've had more than 1,300 folks from across our state, from every background, go through that program. So it's been both of them have left a great legacy for us, and I think for the state.
You look at COVID-19 and the changes it's brought about, what it's meant to our way of life in Louisiana and the nation and the world for that matter. What's it been like for you as the head of an organization whose name pretty much says it all, the Council for a Better Louisiana? All the different things that you tried to implement to improve the quality of life, only to run up against something that you can't taste, you can't see, you can't smell, you don't know if you have it. What's it been like spearheading CABL through this pandemic, Barry?
Well, it's been very weird and strange. I mean, obviously, like everybody else, we went to those Zoom meetings as opposed to other things.
Right.
I mean, honestly, for me, I haven't even been to the Capitol that much because I've been caring for somebody who was elderly, and I couldn't even do what I usually do because of this COVID thing and needing to have the protection. So it's very strange in the way that's gone. The other thing is that we've had to pivot a little bit because usually we're talking about policy to help kids, whether it's early childhood, K-12, higher ed, and policies in that regard. We had to go back and do things we didn't know about, like how do we help get schools up and running? What are the things that these schools need? What are the things that policy-wise that we need to do and recommend that we never thought about before? So it's been a very difficult and different time.
What about your staffing? Are you at 100%? Have you all been really adversely impacted by COVID, or are you kind of like most people that I talk to? Most of the concern and the impact has been people on the periphery of our sphere of influence.
Well, we have a small staff, and so far we've been able to hang on to them. We do some contract work, which we've kind of let off on that a little bit. The only loss we have, and this is interesting and it's kind of bittersweet, is one of the folks or the person, his name is Keith Leger, who does a lot of the education advocacy work to help us and assist us, just got a new job, and he's going to work for the new superintendent.
Wow.
So it's bittersweet on the one hand, but it's also great to have one of your friends and folks right there, at the top of the heap.
Yeah.
With the group that you're working with.
And it's kind of like, I want to say it was Sean Payton that said, it's great to win a championship and divisional titles and all this sort of stuff. But when you win a championship, it's just a matter of time before other teams are going to come knocking, trying to pick off the coaches and personnel and the like. So it kind of seems like you're a victim of your own success in that regard.
Well, that is one way to look at it, and actually Keith's done a great job for us. He's been a great advocate for kids and for educators, and I think he's in a great position there to help kids really probably in a bigger way than he could have otherwise.
So what are CABL's priorities right now, Barry? What are you focusing on post-COVID-19 more than anything else, or is it still pretty much running the gamut?
Yeah, it is. I mean, one of the things we're trying to look at is some of the things that's going on with the governor's Resilient Louisiana Commission, because some of the other stuff that you see is kind of more short-term because those are immediate needs.
Right.
The resilient piece is for more the long-term recovery. How do we remake ourselves? How do we make our state more resilient? And that gets into those things like early childhood that we've been talking about. And I would say a workforce and our adult population that needs to be, retrained and upskilled, those types of things. So we're really trying to focus on the bigger picture after we turn the corner, so that when we find ourselves in one of these situations, as we probably inevitably will, we actually are more resilient and stronger than we were before.
How can folks find out more about the great work and the resources available through the Council for a Better Louisiana, Barry?
Well, our website is just pretty simple, CABL.org, CABL.org, and we've got material on there, some of our recent commentaries and recommendations on all of this, and we'd love for folks to check us out.
Barry Erwin, President of the Council for a Better Louisiana, thank you so much for the time, my friend, and more important, thanks for the work that you all do to help us all have a better Louisiana. We appreciate it sincerely, Barry.
Thanks so much, Clarence. Great talking to you.
Same here, my friend. I know that there are tons of folks that when you saw Barry come up on the split screen, is so that's what Barry Erwin is doing these days. Long-time media guy here in Baton Rouge and doing some wonderful things for the state of Louisiana. Time for our first break of hour 2. We get her done. We come back and roll on right where you've got it on the Wednesday edition of the Clarence Bugg Show here on the Pelican. Stay close.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private Healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready. And health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
Eric Gaylord is back, but where has he been?
Wait, the word was that he was training to be a sumo wrestler.
Rated E.
That's right, the Clarence Bugg Show is back, along with the Exiles, Bill Profita and Kevin Gallagher. We've put the band back together, South Louisiana's talk team, and it's only on the Pelican. 10 a.m. till 12 noon, right here on the Pelican.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
Welcome back to hour 2 of our Wednesday edition of the Clarence Bugg Show. There is any number of TV screens in here at School Boards where we shoot the show on Monday and Wednesday. And just happened to look up at one during the last commercial break. Actually, during the rejoin just now, as Marty was counting down 3, 2, 1 and throwing it back to me, watching that sumo wrestler Eric Gaylord commercial. It is hard for me to keep my composure watching that spot every time it comes on. Just imagine, you're trying to get you a little drink of water, lubricate the pipes right before you go back on air, and you just happen to look up and see Eric as a sumo wrestler. And I know I said wrestler. I meant to say that, not wrestler. It's just something that if you're not careful, you'll end up spewing water or Coca-Cola all over your desk if you don't know it's coming. One of the things that is so very concerning to me as I watch my country go through what we're going through right now, there is a reason the Founding Fathers enshrined in law, in the Constitution, certain rights and privileges. And one of them that we should hold most dear is the right to free speech. It was concerning this week. Anyone that is anywhere near my age, baby boomer, anyone who has ever matriculated on the campus of our state's flagship university understands full well the implications of Free Speech Alley. It is a place where, over the decades, students have engaged in conversation, opinionated discussions, and the like. And there was always a spot designated where whatever is on your mind, you can say it. It is scary to me, the number of people in this country that have lost sight of the fact that everyone is entitled to free speech. Let me say for the record, I despise David Duke and what he stands for. Always have, always will, unless, of course, he, finds his way in this life and decides he's going to spend the rest of his life helping humanity as opposed to separating humanity. I despise what he has stood for up until now. But as an American, I am obligated, and ironically, as a man of color, I am obligated to be the first person to defend his right to say what he wants to say. Free speech does not encompass, you have the right to free speech as long as I agree with what you're saying. Free speech does not encompass, you have the right to say whatever it is you want to say unless I find it offensive. Free speech does not encompass, you have the right to say whatever you want to say as long as you don't hurt my precious little feelings. Understand, y'all, your right only goes this far. That's as far as your right goes. After that, it's somebody else's right. As an American, as distasteful as I find the rhetoric that comes from David Duke, I've got to defend his right to be able to say it. Because if I don't, I have now opened the door for somewhere down the road, the person that doesn't think a black conservative should have the right to say the things he says, well, let's ban him. We've lost sight in this country, y'all, of what a right entails. If you go through this marvelous representative republic form of government that we all live under, you will find that we are all endowed with certain rights, endowed by the Creator. So what it means in essence is, as long as what you are doing does not deny me a fundamental right, government does not have the authority to ban it. As distasteful as what David Duke preaches is, does it deny me the right to vote? Nope. As distasteful as one of his diatribes may be, does it deny me the right to pursue the vocation of my choosing? Nope. As horrible as some of the things David Duke stands for, as horrible as they are they denying me a right as an American? No, they're not. In that case, we've got to get back to understanding, y'all, in that case, there is no legal ground whatsoever to deny him the right to say what's on his mind. One of the marvelous things about this country is the individualism bestowed upon us by the founding fathers. At the end of the day, as long as David Duke does not deny me the right to vote, as long as he does not deny me the right to worship where I want, as long as he does not deny me any of the rights enumerated in the Constitution, he is what I call a necessary evil. You got to understand something, y'all. Many of you are of the opinion that America, with all of its promise, America with all of its resources, America with all the wonderful things that we have here, should be a utopia. We should all be getting along wonderfully. We should all lock arm in arm and sing Kumbaya as we head off into the sunset. Newsflash, y'all, life ain't fair. It's tough. Life is a son of a gun. And the things that you don't teach your children and cherish today are the things that life will be happy to teach your kids and take away from you as an American. Nobody ever said it'd be easy. Nobody ever said the road would always be rosy. If they did, they flat out lied. We are fortunate in that we have been given an opportunity that is both a blessing and a curse. David Duke has the right to free speech, just like I do, just like you do, just like Marty does. We've all got the right. And we've got to be awfully darn careful here. That just because someone says something that you don't agree with, someone says something that hurts your little old precious feelings, that we don't violate the law by banning them. Because you pull out that sheet of paper and start writing down things that we need to ban. You're an American, I get the same right. I get to write down things I think we ought to ban. And then all of a sudden, at the drop of a hat, literally overnight, now we're looking to ban you. That's not the way it's supposed to work, y'all. As Americans, we share these precious rights. And as strongly as you feel about your right, the next person who may be a different gender, may be a different color, different ethnicity, religious persuasion, whatever, you see where that goes? It is a blessing and a curse. After a show last week where we talked about NASCAR banning the Confederate flag, and I told you I thought it was wrong, ran into a buddy that happened to see the show. And he said, Clarence, tell me something. I said, sure, man, what is it? How would you feel if you went to a NASCAR race and there's a guy flying a rebel flag? You know what I told him? I'd like to have a beer with old boy. I'd like to sit down with that old fella and have a beer. Young fella, whatever it is, middle-aged, whomever. And after the conversation, I would like to think that that person would say, wow, I didn't know we had black people knew that much about the history of NASCAR. Say, wow, that boy knows his racing. He knows short track, you ain't rubbing, you ain't racing, baby. He knows the intricacies of the sport. So he's not here to, quote, make a statement. He's here to enjoy the races. And then, hopefully, inevitably, we would have another beer at some point, and another beer. And at some point, he would say to himself, you know what? Just out of sheer friendship with this new black guy that I met at the track, I know how some people look at certain things, rebel flag. I'm not going to fly it because I don't, want him to think that way. Now, most important reason I want to have a beer with this old boy is so that he understands I understand the history of NASCAR. I know they were rebels. I know they were moonshine runners. I know they provided the speakeasies, the after-hour clubs with the hooch that you couldn't buy at the store anymore because the government said y'all ought not be able to drink alcohol. When he understands, I understand that. Now we've got common ground to build upon. When you sit down and have a beer with somebody, or if you just sit down over lunch in the office, in the break room, you break bread with somebody different from yourself. Inevitably, a game, and it brings it all back full circle. You will find out we've got a hell of a lot more in common than we do the things that separate us in this country. But the media will have you believe otherwise if you let them. Bottom of the hour. When you get this break out of the way, Marty's not waving at me frantically yet, but I know it's probably just around the corner. We'll bang this one out, get her done, and we'll talk more right here where you've got it on the Clarence Bug Show on the Pelican. Stay close.
For Total Home Pest Control, who are you going to call?
Call the Bugman, 923-BUGS.
For total pest control for your home or business, call the original Salvant.
Call the Bugman today, 923-BUGS.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Dunnam Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to greystonecountryclub.com.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Exiles from what you ask? Exiled from the radio. But now we're on your television.
I'm Bill Perfita, he's Kevin Gallagher, and they kicked us to the curb.
But we're back.
We are back with Exiles Television on the Pelican Broadcasting Network. We're going to bring you the newsmakers. We're also going to take your calls and give you great information. It's going to be the best damn radio show on television.
Look for it on your cable system or download the app, PelicanSportsTV.com.
Hi, gang. Clarence Bugs here. Some big changes are coming to the Pelican and Cox Cable. July 15th, our numbers are changing. We're easier to find, and we're in high def. New Orleans, Gramercy, Lutcher, Acadiana, Patterson, Baton Rouge, new numbers coming, and a brand new signal. It all happens July 15th on Cox Cable. Do your buddy Clarence a favor, will you? Get all the details by checking your local guide.
They said I could find you here. Why are you fishing? Our company's got to ship out 2 full color brochures and 20 color copies. You're killing me.
It's done. Designed, printed, packaged, and shipped.
How?
You just got to know the right people. Baker Printing, the printing people.
How come you get to fish in this private lake?
Like I said, you just got to know the right people. You can know the right people too.
Thank you, Marty. Welcome back to the Hump Day edition of the Clarence Bug Show. You know, it is a sad commentary that we still find ourselves where we find ourselves in 2020 as it relates to matters of race. It's a shame. And comedy throughout human history has been the salve for the wounds of a society throughout history. It is probably one of the things that comes closest, comedy is, to all of us being able to entertain the issue of the day and do it without fear of reprisal, harassment, things of that nature. Dave Chappelle, for my money, is one of the most brilliant comedic minds to ever come out of that genre. He is arguably not for everybody's taste. I will be the first to acknowledge that. But typically the brilliant ones fall into that category. Carlos Mencia is another I put in that category. But he ain't for everybody. He is an equal opportunity offender. And that's the beauty of America. Lest we forget, y'all, you do not have the right to go through this life and expect not to be offended. Part of the process of maturity, the maturation process, part of that includes coming to the realization that life ain't fair, life is tough, and there are always going to be things that you're going to have to deal with that emotionally you really don't care a whole lot about that. But at the end of the day, what it really comes down to is those are your feelings. And they only matter in the grand scheme of things to you and yours. As long as it doesn't stop you from doing something productive, it is a part of the blessing and the curse. We have, in recent memory, as a result of the hue and cry over social injustices and police brutality and the like, we have managed to come up, and I chuckle only to stop from crying, because if it weren't so freaking stupid, it would be funny. Defunding police departments. I understand in the midst of certain things, because of the emotional weight that it carries, some people are prone to want to try anything to fix the problem. Here's the problem, problems I have with defunding police departments. Number one, the whole premise here is predicated upon taking resources from law enforcement and allowing community activists, social groups, whomever, to mold society into a segment that does no longer require police intervention or involvement. Here's the major problem with that for me. Mr. and Mrs. Social Organization, Mr. and Mrs. Government Entity, that ain't your damn job. That's my job. As a parent and as an American, it is my job to teach my kids respect for law enforcement. That ain't your job. It is my job to teach my young son that you respect women. When you're in their presence, hopefully, even if you're just by yourself, you pull your freaking pants up and you respect yourself. It is my job to teach my children the importance of education. It is my job to teach my children to have a good work ethic. That ain't your job. And at the end of the day, no one is going to do that job as well for me as I can do it for me. You end up allowing social organizations, government entities, whomever, to usurp your authority as an individual. And when that starts, my friend, it is just a gradual adding to the eroding of our rights as Americans. We've allowed ourselves to get to the point where we are comfortable letting other folks do stuff for us. Everything from paying our bills to educating our children to telling us who to vote for, we've gotten flat out plumb lazy. But there's a cost that comes along with that. And inevitably, if we're not very, very careful, that cost will entail the eroding of this republic. Say what you will about the evils of America. I say again, go live in the Congo for a little while. Go live in Libya. Go live in Iraq. Go live in Venezuela. Go live in any number, North Korea, of places on this planet. And watch how good Lady Liberty starts to look. Second, idiocracy of defunding the police. You realize, those of you who are in favor of this, you do realize you are hurting the community that is most affected by crime. The African American community is one that has been ravaged by the criminal element. They are the ones who need help more often, more severely than any other segment of society. And on top of all of that, 2 o'clock in the morning, you hear your kitchen window break. 2 o'clock in the morning, you hear your car alarm going off. 2 o'clock in the morning, your child that was supposed to have been home 3 hours ago is nowhere to be found. Is a freaking social worker the person you really want to call? No negative dispersion against social workers because they do wonderful jobs for society. But that's not who I want responding at my house at 2 o'clock in the morning to a call about some stranger rummaging through my kitchen. It is not who I want to call when some miscreant from 2 doors down decides that stolen AK-47 is what he wants to use to open fire on a freaking funeral procession. That's not who I want to respond. And when all is said and done, and I guess this is just a part of the human experience, those who complain the loudest and the longest about law enforcement, those who complain incessantly and want to defund the police, those individuals on their best day don't have the guts to put on the uniform and serve the community they live in. Yeah, I said it. Those who are loudly defund the police, take the money, give it here, on your best day, you didn't have the guts, the backbone, the gumption, as the old folk used to say, to put on the uniform and protect and serve the people you claim to love. They are overmatched, outgunned, underpaid, underappreciated. And yet, 3 o'clock in the morning, whether it's in Bocage or whether it's in the hood, when you pick up the phone and say, yes, ma'am, dispatcher, Miss 911, I need some help, they still come. Even though the day before, protecting your right to protest, you called them pigs, You called them all sorts of unsundry, undignified names. But you needed help, and they came. Are they perfect? Of course not. None of us are. Lest we forget, let him who is without sin do what? That's what I thought. Some of y'all did pay attention. When all is said and done, y'all, we are a nation of laws. And someone has to enforce those laws. At the end of the day, as my late father was fond of saying, right is right and wrong is wrong. And if we don't, as a society, make darn sure that those whose charge it is to protect and serve have every possible resource to do the job to the best of their ability, we are short-circuiting ourselves and our country, not to mention the rest of humankind. They're not perfect, y'all. None of us are. But at the end of the day, I'll be honest with you, it takes a very special person to get up every single day knowing full well you are underappreciated, you're outgunned, you're underpaid. Just the day before, protecting somebody's right to protest, you were called all sorts of names. And yet, you still get up, strap it on, and go do your job. I don't mind telling y'all, I don't have the fortitude for that. I would have told y'all a long time ago, you can kiss my, as we go to commercial break. I would have told you a long time ago, I don't need this crap. I swore an oath to help you, and this is what I get in return? Think about that. Hopefully, before 2 o'clock in the morning when you hear your kitchen window break and the back door open. Think about that. Hopefully, before you find yourself in a situation where only an armed individual can rescue you. Think about that. Of course, that is beyond the capability of some of y'all, but that's for the rest of y'all. Final break of today's show. We get her done. Come back, put a big old bow on it, and wrap up the Hump Day edition of the Clarence Bugg Show, right here on the Pelican. Stay close.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Dunnam Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to greystonecountryclub.com.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
That's right, the Clarence Bugg Show is back, along with the Exiles, Bill Profita and Kevin Gallagher. We've put the band back together, South Louisiana's talk team, and it's only on the Pelican. 10 a.m. till 12 noon, right here on the Pelican.
Hello. Hola. Ni hao.
Experience what the Baton Rouge International School can offer your children. Now welcoming displaced students for short and long-term stability.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Welcome back for our final segment with you today on the Wednesday edition of the Clarence Bug Show. Don't forget, tomorrow, my buds, the rest of the band, the Exiles, Bill Profita, Kevin Gallagher, will be in, quote, the chair. Same bat time, same bat channel. Also, if you've been out of the loop for whatever amount of time, please know July 15th, big change is coming. We're going to be awarded a brand new signal. We're going to be high definition, but as is the caveat with most things in life, when there's a change, it's not just simply one. Our channel numbers will change. As a matter of fact, there you go, right there. For the folks in Acadiana, Lutcher, Gramercy, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, the numbers that you have become accustomed to us being assigned are going to change. So we'll be reminding you more and more frequently as we get closer to the date of the change, July 15th, which gives us what, just under a month now, because we don't want you, grabbing that second cup of coffee on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Let me check out Clarence. Let me check out what the Exiles are talking about. And you hit the remote and it's some other channel, So keep that in mind as we get closer and closer to that day. And hopefully we will have you well versed with all of it by then. Also, the good folks down in the Crescent City in New Orleans now firmly into phase 2 of the reopening of the state's economy. And of course, that means places like bars and the like are now able to open. Other businesses that had been at 25% occupancy are now allowed to progress up to 50% occupancy. I was on the way in to do the show today. And as I typically do, I'm scanning through different talk stations and the like, finding out the very latest information before going on air. And a number of places all across the country now are reporting spikes in the number of cases of coronavirus. And many people are of the opinion that there's a wealth of reasons why this has happened. The protest out there, folks late getting on board with social distancing and the wearing of masks and the whole nine. I will leave to you to decide why we are seeing this uptick in cases. I only hope that you will be cognizant of it and govern yourself accordingly. It is something that, quite frankly, is going to be around for a while, y'all. It's not going anywhere completely away anytime soon. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news once again, but the way things work in this world, when we finally go, man, we got that COVID-19 thing out the way, we licked that puppy, ain't got to worry about that anymore. Boom, it's going to be something else to worry about. There will be a list, and we'll just check them off as we go down the list of what's up next to be worried about. If nothing else, hopefully, we will come to the realization of what all of this has meant to the emotional, psychological, and financial well-being of this country. And hopefully, we will never have to go so far again as to do something like completely shut down the economy. Hopefully as well, we will learn from this and govern ourselves accordingly. You've heard me say, God knows how many times, when you fail to govern yourself, you have, in essence, consented to be governed. Now, let me say for the record, I understand full well some of y'all need to be governed. Some of y'all don't possess the wherewithal, the fortitude, the discipline to conduct yourself like a civilized human being. Those of you, we got people whose job it is to deal with you. You need to be governed. But for the rest of us, God-fearing, flag-waving, red, white, and blue-loving Americans, we take care of ourselves because we understand this country was not founded upon the principle of, I need somebody to pay my cell phone bill. This country was not founded upon, I need somebody to help me to pay for my food. This country was not founded upon, I need somebody to take the reins and educate my child. This country, and all it stands for, is about the individual being blessed to live in a country where if they decide they want to bust their hump to achieve that lifelong dream of starting a business, if they want to bust their hump and achieve their dream of being the first person in their family to graduate from college, this country is such that if you decide as an individual, I want to make the sacrifice so that my community is a better place to live, you can do it. May not be easy, but there's nothing worth having that isn't worth working for, correct? Yeah. At the end of the day, flaws aside, at the end of this day, shortcomings aside, at the end of the day, with all the problems, both real and imagined, we are still fortunate to live in a country where, unless you decide otherwise, you can pretty much achieve anything that you want to. And that, my friends, is the reason why every single day for the last, 16, 17 years, since I have been fortunate enough to sit in a chair and host my own show, that's why at the end of every single show, every single time out of the gate, you hear me say, you know what? You're right. America, we're not perfect, but doggone it, from my money, it's the best there is. And God knows there's no place else on his green earth that I'd rather be. Speaking of the good Lord, you do realize by now that he loves you, right? And I hope you know, even if it's in just the smallest of terms, that I do too. Best news you gonna get, son. There ain't a doggone thing you can do about either one. Take care of yourselves. Let's take care of each other, and we'll do it again. God bless.